When you say God, and the title of the book kind of scared me a little bit.
Yeah.
Because it was like, I don't know that I believe in a supernatural. I don't believe in a supernatural God, but I don't exclude anybody else in my world who does.
Yeah.
We all have our own framing that we put our worlds into, and I respect anybody else's, and I hope they respect mine.
Absolutely.
But when I say, when I say I don't believe in God, it doesn't mean I don't think that a God doesn't exist, because I see God in every human being.
Yes.
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 There
Very
are,
good.
yes. And so you don't have to go to church, you don't have to pray, you don't have to read certain scriptures. You just have to be present, and you have to bear witness. And I think that's the most precious part about what it is. You insert yourself into somebody else's world, and you say, I'm not going anywhere. I want to watch you, and I want to learn from you, and I want to grow with you. And so I think that's the remedy to that, which also establishes trust.
Yeah.
I love that, because what you're saying is be fully aware. And my definition of love is unboarded awareness. You're aware of everything and anything at all times. And that allows you to be present with anybody, because the God that's inside of you, you respect, and the God that's inside somebody else, you respect. And so because you're fully aware of where they're coming from, you allow them to be whoever they need to be at the moment. And you don't have to control that. And that's the thing that we all fight, is control. Because the fuel of religion is control. And control needs an enemy. In order for it to happen, it needs an enemy. And the first enemy religion teaches you to hate yourself. And so now you hate everybody else because you hate you. So you're projecting, and everything that you think about God is how you frame God to other people is how you think he thinks of you. And so we project that. If the God is my mother with a belt, guess how I'm going to treat everybody? Like my mother with the belt. And I'm going to judge everybody. I'm going to come with fear, shame, and judgment, because the God that I serve is fear, shame, and judgment. And so I'm not going to be fully aware and loved. So I'm not going to fully accept everybody. And I'm going to say, well, yeah, I love you and I can accept you, but I don't agree with you. Why do you have to say you don't have to agree? Why can't you just go, I do agree? And this and that. And what happens to us in religion continues to shape our thinking about ourselves. And shape the emotion of what we think about ourselves. So I feel comfortable in hating myself. So I feel comfortable in hating somebody else. And so now I'm walking so guarded, because I'm guarded of myself, I'm guarded of other people, and I can't be fully me because I don't accept me. So I don't know if the other person is going to accept me. And whatever you call divine, whatever you call God, something inside of you is going, that's less than what I am. I'm made for more than this. I am more than this. And so you start inviting yourself to look at that. But in order for you to do that, then you have to defragment, deconstruct everything else that you built. And that's scary. And that feels alone. To answer the question, do you feel alone? Yes. But in that aloneness, the way I see God will bring you people in your life to go, we are in this together. I don't know who I'm talking to, but I know this. When I started going through this, I pastored for years, and I met Akir and Mike while pastoring. And then we got together and we're like, well, we hate the church. And I'm tired of standing and preaching to people every Sunday morning, trying to convince them that they're loved, and they just look at me like I'm crazy. So what are we doing? And so in the walking together, we had to know how to love each other, give room for one another, give grace. I said this to her earlier. Katie, I said, we do not know how to give ourselves grace. And grace to where we at. And I think in our relationship, what I learned with Mike and Akira and Dad and I, and walking the last 18 years, is we had to extend a lot of grace to one another. And we had to extend grace and say, hey, this is what I was reading. This is what I was thinking. And I had to extend grace when Akira was like, I think I'm an atheist. And my brain is blowing up like, what? Hold on a second.
Did I say that?
At one point in our journey,
Wow.
yes. And so we were sitting in a restaurant, and I was like, hold on. And she's like, I don't believe in the Bible anymore. And I'm like, that's all I quote is the Bible.
Don't, but different. But there's something that you're saying, though.
Go ahead.
That's something to what you're saying. And I want to circle back to you, Lori, which is really interesting. Is when you were saying, like, I don't believe in a supernatural God. And so for me, like, I'm somewhere in between. And that's like the beauty of this room. Is like we are all coming with different viewpoints, and like when I think of the universe, when I think of, first of all, God is everything and God is in me. And so I feel like divine, okay? Because I feel like, and I feel like that about everybody. I feel like we were all created to be divine in God's image. And so I don't look for external validation from some spiritual being outside of myself. But I say this, and I'm gonna tell a little story, Danny, based off of what you said.
What?
Something is really interesting. I addressed it a little bit in the book, but I tell it way better in person. So this religion is so hard on kids in particular. The psychological damage that it does to a child when they are 8 years old and they are asked the question, who wants to accept Jesus as their Lord and Savior? First of all, the first thing is like, ooh, that means that I am in need of saving, which means that I can't do it myself, which means that like I need something outside of me to get me certain results. So they're already thinking that. They're already thinking that they're not good enough because we are taught. I was in Christian school my entire life from the time I was a little bitty girl all the way up until I graduated, that I was my righteousness. So that means even my good doings, even the good that I had in me was as filthy rags. Less than dirt. That I was this horrible, imperfect wretch of a human being.
Less than 8.
Yes. I was like four years old, like pre-K. And so when you grow up hearing this kind of thing repeatedly, preached into your psyche, and then when you pray the sinner's prayer, oh my God, you are saying this to yourself over and over again. And what does neuroscience tell us now? That the things that we say over and over to ourselves becomes a part of our DNA. It shapes a neural pathway. And so we wonder why kids grow up with a lack of knowing who they are, with no self-worth, with feeling lower than, less than, missing the mark, right? Doing things that are not necessarily in their character. And so for me, that was the first thing I had to unlearn when I was divorcing religion. Yeah, I divorced it, which means I had to completely separate myself from the system that told me that I was less than and that I was lower than. And I had to really, and so what's interesting about that though, because I feel like Christianity is full of ironies. So they say, and I'm a writer and I love words. And so they say, see yourself the way God sees you.
Right. But I'm less than dirt.
But I'm less than dirt. So that's how God sees me? Well, you're the apple of his eye. Well, which one is it?
Fearfully and wonderfully
Fearfully and wonderfully made. Which one? Like, what am I? And so, like, I'm sitting here like, I don't know what in the matrix is happening. I'm short-circuiting, right? And Sharon looks like she has something to say, so I'm about to give her this microphone. But I just want to put that bug in y'all's ear because she looked like she's ready to go, and I'm about to let her go.
I'm just like with you. I'm like, I feel like everything you're saying, I mean, it's fear and love are the same.
Yes.
Right? When we so much in high demand religions, we say, I love you, and love is condemnation. I love you, and love is physical violence towards a child. And I did that because I love you and it hurt me more than it hurt you. And that's love. So when you're talking about a small child, right? Like, and this is love. And God loved me so much. And God has so much love for me. But yet what he's going to do, and he's my father, and a father loves me. But yet when my father abuses me, that's love, and that's okay because he's trying to get me to submit and to obey. So love is so contorted, so distorted, so messed up. So then when you get out, you're talking about the price of what it is to get out, right? You grieve, and Lori, you talked about the grief of the loss of community. And we were taught, there's a verse in the New Testament that says, sin when it's not even a full verse, y'all, it's a portion of a verse, talk about context. Sin when it is finished bringeth forth death. And so we were taught the moment that you leave, that is sin, that's the ultimate sin, right? And then that brings forth relational death, and of course it does, because you're gonna lose your relationships with people when you leave. It brings financial death, and if you're a woman, your finances are controlled by men. And then you lose all of these things, and you'll eventually be dead, and you'll have spiritual death, physical death. And so to rebuild yourself though, you have to learn, and we were talking about this before, Nicole, but like, what are my wants and likes? That's selfish and that's sinful. I'm allowed to have a want and a like. But if God created me fearfully and wonderfully, or if there is no God and I'm a being here and I have wants and likes, like how do you find those and build those? And I feel like that is loving myself.
Yeah, it's so powerful. Okay, I just got a note that I so obviously read anyways. So basically, I want to let Nicole and Michael share just because I see you guys have the microphones in your hands. I want you guys to give, your thoughts or whatever, and then we're going to move to the question and answer with the audience because I know I see a burning in your eyes. So we're going to go. Who wants to go first? Nicole, Michael?